Every now and again, somebody will ask me, how are you so happy all the time? And I think the basic answer is that it's partly natural and that it's partly learned. When I say natural, I've always been like a huge optimist. Part of being an optimist is just genuinely believing everything is going to work out in the end. But it's also a bit this idea that the best is yet to come. Every year at New Year's, I like to look back and think about my life and what's changed or not changed over the past year. And I always feel like there's obviously things I wish I could have back or that used to be fun that doesn't happen anymore. But I feel like overall, the broad trend is things just get better and better. And so obviously anything's possible and a lot could change quickly and something crazy could happen. I think I was just programmed with the opposite of the doomer mentality. I always feel like if you just give it time, things will sort themselves out and you'll be happier later. The other main thing is that happiness is definitely learned. So there's a bunch of research out there that basically says that you can will certain emotions and states of mind into being or kind of reprogram your mentality. And so what that means is like, if you consciously make it a priority and like tell yourself, I'm going to be more happy, I'm going to be more happy, and focus on the positive and really turn it into a habit, anybody, no matter where they start off with, can gradually over time become happier and happier. And so for me, I do that. Even though I came pretty easygoing and optimistic, I like to use that too, so I can like take it from here to here. I like to be conscious and deliberate about it too, so I can always just build off what I have. I might be misquoting it, but there's a quote that says something to the effect of, happiness isn't a destination, it's a state of being. And I totally agree with that. I think having external goals is a really good thing, just in the sense that it kind of gets you up and moving and motivated. So if you want to be the best at some skill, or you just want to have all this money, it doesn't really matter what the goal is. If it can get you moving and active, what I think is counterproductive is delaying and pushing off happiness until your goal is met. And you don't have to do that so it's like, oh, like if I can just reach some goal, like if I get $1 million or if I make it onto the team that I want to be on, then I'll be happy. But until then, like my life's a misery. That's not the mentality you want to have. The first reason is you should just be happy all the time, or try to be anyway. And so why wait? Just start doing it now. And the other thing is, reaching goals is sort of this like very temporary rush, and then you get used to it. Usually the pattern is that once somebody reaches a level, it's amazing at first, but they really, really quickly become acclimated to it and it becomes their normal. And then they want to get to the next level. So an example with money is like, I really, really want to have $1 million. I'll be so happy. And then you get $1 million and it might make you happy for an hour or two, but then you realize, oh, I actually want $5 million. And it's kind of this loop that never ends. And another example is I love watching Mario 64 speedrunning. And a lot of times, right when someone world records, it's this great, amazing thing, obviously. And it's the culmination of a huge goal and like countless hours of grind. But pretty soon they just want to have a new time. It's pretty rare that somebody just gets world record and is completely satisfied and just stops playing, or you never hear from them again. I recommend taking steps to increase your happiness levels now and not wait and not attach it to some goal that is going to change the minute you achieve it anyway. And then the last thing is perspective. I'm like a huge history guy. I love reading about different ages and different countries and times gone by. And stuff used to be crazy back in the day in a way that a lot of us can't even imagine today. Stuff happens, obviously. And if I'm ever bummed, I can read about a time when like everyone was starving to death or everybody was escaping from some war zone and be like, oh my God. And after reading that for a little bit, I'll just say, oh, my problem is like super not that big of a deal. Like I have a bunch of food and there's no active combat going on around me. So like, yeah, this is fine. So it helps me snap out of it really quickly. I even use that like during the Corona lockdown. I didn't personally want to be in my house 24/7 waiting for the pandemic to end, but I'd just be like, wait a minute, I get to be home. I live in the 2000s, so there's like TV and video games and the ability and internet and the ability to download stuff. And I'm not being asked to like go fight a war in some country. and there's not like shortages of anything, this kind of is fine. And so what I'm getting at is the idea that there always could be something worse. And I think could be worse mentality is kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, what I'm saying is it's good to always carry a healthy perspective of how much different things used to be in the past or how much worse things could be. So it could just be like, oh, it's not a big deal, to help you just realize that whatever you're facing isn't as big of a deal as you might have thought. But on the other hand, sometimes things do suck. So you should definitely notice when things are not ideal and times that you can improve things for yourself or for the people around you. For me, I don't want to reach the other extreme where I'm always just like, oh, well, it could be worse, and I never fix anything or do anything about my life. It's good to notice things that are not great or suboptimal so you can go about fixing them, but just don't get too carried away about it. Anyway, I do think that I have kind of an optimistic disposition that made it easier for me to implement a lot of this stuff, but happiness is definitely something that can be learned. Try to put everything in perspective and just take everything one step at a time, one day at a time. Most things are very gradual, so don't beat yourself up if things aren't changing or improving as fast as you want them to be. As long as you get a little bit better or do a little more every single day, you'll look back next time it's New Year's and just think to yourself, oh, wow, like I've covered all this ground. This is awesome. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all soon.